Let's talk about the Los Angeles Chargers here for a little bit. Look, it was a heck of a draft for the Chargers, heck of an offseason in general. Obviously, a lot of good. Of course, Harbaugh coming into the fold. A lot of disappointing. A lot of great wide receivers have left the Los Angeles Chargers. But now we are getting to the focus about the new additions. We're focusing on the future here. And there's one new Los Angeles Charger in particular that's already off to a great start, making a big name for himself early with this organization. Let's get into this report, and then we'll talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is courtesy of NFL Trade Rumors, even though it's not a trade rumor. Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh said third round linebacker Junior Colson has a profound knowledge of the defense and has consistently put the personnel in the proper position on the field. It's been great. Junior, he knows the defense so well, Harbaugh said via Chargers Wire. It's such an incredible thing. I'm not saying he's going to be wearing any dots or anything anytime soon. Probably not the first year, but he's literally making all the calls. He's making all the linebacker calls. He's making the DB calls right now. The safeties that are making the calls are getting it mostly right. I give them an A. The ones they miss on, Junior will make the call and correct the call for the safeties, which is awesome. In a meeting with the linebackers coach Navarro Bowman would ask a question, and Junior would give the right answer. It finally got to the point somebody other than Junior answer this next question. It's safe to say that he knows he's on it. It's a great thing for our team. All right, when the Chargers selected Colson, obviously he was a guy who knows Coach Harbaugh, knows the system, knows what Harbaugh is looking for in a player. But there were some questions about how he would handle the transition to the National Football League. I think those questions have been answered. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Chargers fans, as you guys are probably aware, the NFL schedule has been released. You're going to see when the Chargers are playing who, at what time. You've got that information in front of you now. So give us in the comment section below the one matchup this upcoming season you're looking forward to more than any other. There's a lot of really great ones. Really curious what you guys have to say. So let us know the one matchup you're really looking forward to and put it in the comments section below. But Myers, give me your thoughts on Colson getting off to such a great start and impressing people with the Chargers.
Yeah, Nate, I think this was a great pickup, and I think it's something, as like you said, Jim Harbaugh being from Michigan, picking a Michigan guy relatively early on in the draft, people kind of wonder sometimes, okay, is this, favoritism, is nepotism, like, is this a guy that he wants on his team that maybe they reach for a little bit? But I don't think that's the case. This is one of the best linebackers in this draft class, arguably number one or number two, depending on where you look. I think this guy comes in like you said, there's some concerns about some parts of his game and how he's going to adapt to the NFL. But coming in and just showing that he is so engrossed in what he can be engrossed in at this point in time, learning the plays, learning the schemes, learning all of those kind of things, I think this just shows Colson was absolutely the right pick. You got to love a guy who comes in and, maybe someone thinks they could skate by, like, oh, yeah, I know Coach Harbaugh. I played with him for so long. I could slack off a little here, there. I have a general idea of what we're going to do. I don't need to study that hard. No, Colson comes in and absolutely dominates the book, shows that he is the guy, shows he's the right person for this position, excuse me. But I think that him coming in here and doing all these things just shows that they got things right. I think this is a guy, Harbaugh says, maybe not the green dot right now. I think this could be the future voice and leader of this Chargers defense if things go the right way. I think he's very knowledgeable, and the fact that he knows what everybody on the field around him is supposed to be doing, I think that's absolutely key for a future defensive quarterback, defensive leader of this team. So I think this is a great pickup by the Chargers, and I think Jim Harbaugh absolutely nailed it and is a guy that he knew and nobody else knew maybe that this guy was going to be as good as he possibly could be.
And it's one of those interesting things. If you look at Carlson's NFL.com draft profile, his biggest weakness were things that Harbaugh and the Chargers are now raving about how well he's doing. If you look at his weaknesses, according to Lance Erline, he says fails to read and trigger, lacks recognition, not as instinctive, right? So you're talking about a guy that, according to NFL.com's draft profile, when they evaluated him, they're like, hey, he's got all the physical tools, but maybe mentally he's not where we want him to be a first round pick. Well, guess what? Being with the Chargers for all of 5 seconds, he's put that completely to bed. This is a guy who, based on what we're seeing so far, has the mentals not just down acceptably, not just down well, but at an incredible point where he can make DB calls, right? Not just linebacker calls. And he's blowing away Navarro Bowman, who, by the way, was a very smart, great linebacker. Great assistant coach, by the way. The Chargers adding him to the assistant coaching roster. Really great underrated move there. But he's blowing away Navarro Bowman as well. And I tell you what, folks, that is incredibly impressive for a guy who, again, coming out of Michigan, everyone was like, tough guy, physical, old school linebacker, all the physical tool set, skill set that you would want. But can he handle the mental recognition that it takes to be an NFL linebacker? And in a matter of days, he's like, yeah, I definitely can. I can do it better than anyone who's with the Chargers right now, right? In terms of the rookie class, at least. And I tell you what, that's a great sign, Chargers fans, because this is a guy who, if he can come into the fold and be one of your inside linebackers, and I think he will, your defense will get a lot better. I thought at inside linebacker, they've been weak the past couple of years, and I think that's really hurt them. Teams have been able to run the ball with a decent amount of success right at the Chargers. We know how Staley liked to play that two deep coverage that really forced teams to run the ball too, which again, kind of weakness beget weakness there. You got a guy in Carlson there with his smart, savvy, physical tool set. He can help shore up the inside part of that defense and allow your pass rushers to go wild. We know Herbert in the offense is going to be fine with Greg Roman running the show there now too. They're going to be physical and tough. I mean, this Chargers team, I know it's one of those things where people are really struggling where to grade them because they were a debacle last year, but they had a lot of injuries. Everyone kind of gave up on Staley. But if you look at the talent and you look at what Harbaugh is doing, and you look at this, the way a lot of their new players are kind of quickly getting better and better, like Colson here in this example, this is a team that should put fear into a lot of people. I'm not saying they're winning the division. I think that's still the Kansas City Chiefs to win, but this is definitely a playoff contender, and not just like a 9-win playoff contender. I would be surprised if the Chargers pull out maybe 10 or 11 wins here, the way things are trending.